Hey everybody, welcome back to Kat's Kitchen. I'm so glad you guys are back here with me for another episode. Today we're going to be talking all about spices. And this is for anybody that may be new to cooking or that has just watched my videos and just wondering what kind of spices I'm purchasing on a regular basis, just using up and buying again. So I figured I would make a primary and a secondary list of spices that I use on a regular basis. And these are the main spices that I always purchase. I really don't deviate from it. And the reason being is because I'm a little bit of a minimalist when it comes to purchasing. I like to purchase things in bulk, but I also like to purchase things that I really use all the time. So there's really no sense in purchasing things in bulk that, you maybe only use maybe once a year or something like that. If it's going to be something smaller, and I'll show you some of the seasonings are in a smaller container, I just purchase those in a smaller container for the ones that I'm only going to use maybe for specific recipes and whatnot. So let's get right into it. I'm going to show you what I've got here. And then also, while I have all my spices out of my cabinet, that also gives me the chance to organize my spice cabinet, because we all know that those get a little messy. So I also encourage you as well. So let's take a look at our primary spices first. Okay, so this back row here are the primary spices that I use on generally all my recipes, and I'm sure you've recognized that. So let's give it a breakdown here. I have my salt in here. This is a fine salt. The finer the salt you have, the faster it dissolves. So this is more so like just table salt, but it dissolves very fast. If you want to get up to the higher grits and whatnot, like the flakier salt and whatever, that's good for maybe topping meats or on certain desserts, flaking salt on the top, but those really don't dissolve that much. Whenever you're doing baking or cooking, a medium to a fine salt is perfectly fine. I put it in this container for two reasons, because if I want to use my fingers to control how much I do, it's easier to obviously get in here. Or if I am baking or am doing a lot of cooking, I'll get in here with a spoon and measure it out. And just so you're aware, I get all of these spices from either Sam's Club or Walmart. I've purchased some of them at Aldi's as well, but I'll walk you through it. So we've got salt and pepper. Obviously we use that in just about everything. Obviously we have onion powder, we have garlic powder, paprika, red pepper flakes, Italian seasoning, steak seasoning, and basil. And I'm just going to briefly go over what I generally use these spices for. So from the salt all the way to my chili flakes, I pretty much use these on the majority of my meat-based products. So anything from chicken, it could be chicken thighs, chicken breast, whatever, to roasts, to soups. It could be anything like that. Anything in the savory aspect. Now for my Italian seasoning and my basil, and I also have parsley written down here. I don't have a container of it right now, but parsley is also a big one that I use. I use my Italian seasoning, my basil, and my parsley for things such as sauces. Also I use them for roasts as well. The parsley I really, really like for potatoes. If you've never just done parsley fries or mashed potatoes or roasted potatoes, go ahead and try that with a garlic and a parsley with some olive oil on there. It's super, super tasty. And then steak seasoning is pretty self-explanatory. Get yourself a really good steak seasoning that you enjoy. This is one of the only things that I'll maybe deviate from whenever purchasing, is I will try different steak seasonings out. But this, when you want to make a good steak, all I do is salt, pepper, and then my steak seasoning. And I usually do it pretty liberally with the steak seasoning to form a nice crust. Now, yes, you can do it the restaurant way, where you're doing sprigs of thyme and rosemary and whole garlic and baste the steak in butter. You can do all that, but really what I'm trying to talk to is the common person who is cooking in their kitchen and that just wants to know what spices I keep on hand just to make their cooking a lot smoother and a lot tastier. Okay, so those are my primary spices. Now moving on to my secondary spices over here would be cinnamon and pumpkin pie spice. And I threw in vanilla over here too, because vanilla comes in handy with a lot of things, with a lot of desserts. You know, all of these three things do. I use a lot of these in my pancakes. Say I'm going to do pumpkin pancakes. If you want to make French toast for the morning, if you want to do regular pancakes, sometimes I'll do vanilla and cinnamon. I switch up the flavor. Or any of your desserts, your pumpkin pie, obviously. For a lot of desserts and a lot of breakfast, you know, sweet breakfast foods, you're gonna probably use these three spices a lot. And I know this isn't technically a spice, but like I said, I wanted to throw this in here for you as a staple item. Okay, next we have is our taco. Get yourself a good taco seasoning, or you can mix it yourself. This one is from Sam's Club here, the Cholula brand. I really like this taco blend, and you can see it is getting clumpy because it doesn't have those clumping agents. This is actually a better taco seasoning than others that I've seen. And your cumin. So these two are going to be for anything, any Mexican cooking, any Mexican dishes. These really bring out a lot of good flavor. Next we have chili powder. So chili powder, obviously we use this for making chili and other meat dishes that you just need a little bit more spice on. And I'll also talk to my cayenne pepper as well. So if you just want a little extra heat, you can use your cayenne or your chili powder, depending on what flavors you're trying to develop. Next we have our dill. I use dill a lot when I'm making fish. And this could really be any type of fish, or if you're making certain sauces, such as tzatziki sauce needs dill in it. The cucumber with your Greek yogurt and your dill is a beautiful tzatziki sauce for any Greek dishes, or just try that dish to really liven up anything that you're making. You don't always have to serve it with, it's traditionally served with lamb, the tzatziki sauce, but you can also try serving it with chicken and beef. I did chicken and beef skewers over the summer with a tzatziki sauce and a salad, and it tastes really, really good. It's just a nice light way to lift up a meal. And then especially with some fresh lemon juice squeezed in there, it just picks up the dish if you're having some heavy proteins. Next, I'm gonna move on to turmeric. Now turmeric I don't use very, very often. I used to use it a little bit more. I used to use it on all types of proteins. Mostly I'll use this one on chicken, for chicken protein. And then I also use it for my curries or any Indian cooking that I might do. Turmeric is very, very good for you. It's an anti-inflammatory spice. And they also have it in capsules too, to help you with, you know, inflammation in your body. Okay, next one we have here is poultry seasoning, and it's just as it says for any type of poultry, wild game, turkey, chicken, whatever you're working up here. This one is from Walmart specifically. So this one here, and yeah, with the thyme and the rosemary that it has in here, it has a little bit of nutmeg, yeah, sage. These flavors here are gonna make any of your poultry dishes taste amazing. And if you notice, I don't really have a lot of blended spices that I purchase. I have a few. I have obviously my steak seasoning, my Italian seasoning. I have my taco seasoning, and then I have my poultry seasoning. Pretty much everything else is all a single ingredient, and then my pumpkin pie spice. But instead of purchasing all the separate ingredients that goes into these mixed blends, it's a lot more affordable if you just purchase them all together. So poultry seasoning is dynamite. It's great in any chicken soup that you're gonna make, any type of chicken soup. It's gonna make it pop. It's gonna taste like Thanksgiving immediately. Good for chicken pot pies. You can do, you know, even if you're just searing some chicken and you just want a little bit more happiness to it, try the poultry seasoning. It's really, really tasty. I don't think you're gonna regret that. And then the last three things that we have here are soup bases. And I wanted to include these for people just so that you can really get a good idea of what I keep in my pantry and just items that might help your cooking be a little bit easier. So I have three soup bases that I use. Obviously I have a beef base for when I'm doing beef. I have a vegetable base and I have a chicken base. Now these are like almost like a paste, and they are really, really good. You can also use bouillon cubes too. I have those as well as a backup. So in case you ever have to make a fast broth, or if you're adding that to your soup base, I believe that's what they're calling it here. They just call it chicken base and beef base. Okay. But in case you have to make a fast broth, I always like to keep those and bouillon cubes on hand. Whether you're making a fast gravy or you're adding it to your beef, vegetable, or chicken soup, whatever you're doing. And I like to keep the vegetable base on hand as well, because say you're making something that isn't beef, isn't chicken, say it's either fish or, let me think of another neutral item. Yeah, anything that really you don't want, the beef flavor or the chicken flavor, it's good to have the vegetable base as well, just to kind of sprinkle in. So this is pretty much the general consensus of my spices and a few of the things that I use I use these on a regular basis. If you watch any of my videos, especially this back row here, this primary row, I'm predominantly using these spices. So let's talk about for a moment where to get your spices. Like I said, I'm not really advocating on where to get your spices. This video is not sponsored by any means. I'll tell you where I get mine. I'll tell you if they're any good or not. I'll definitely tell you if they're not good, because I wouldn't want to recommend something that isn't. I get predominantly all my spices, like I mentioned, from Sam's Club, and whatever Sam's Club doesn't have, I end up having to go to Walmart. The poultry season, I had to get at Walmart because Sam's Club did not offer it. And I don't think they had turmeric either. That's another ingredient I had to get from Walmart. And like these little ones here, the cumin and the chili powder, I got those from Aldi's when I used to shop there. I don't really shop there anymore, just because I get my stuff predominantly in bulk now. So anyway, so you can go to Sam's Club, Walmart, you can go to any of those Aldi's, any of those grocery stores. If you want to purchase, some people like to mix their blends together, so they'll buy the separate ingredients and they'll mix their taco seasoning or their steak seasoning or whatever they want. You're more than welcome to do that. It's definitely cool. I know people like to do that because they don't like what is added to the spice blends in general. So you can do it that way. I know AzureStandard.com is a way that you can get, that's an online source where you can get organic spices in bulk if you're looking for organic. And then I would also recommend just checking out anything local that you might have, any local resources for spices or spice shops. If you're looking to buy local or organic, check that out. So guys, thank you so much for watching. This is what we've just really wanted to go over today, just to get you guys your pantry prepared for this season. And also, I just want to recommend, I know that some of the stores are running out of spices, so you might just want to stock up a little bit, some for the holidays and just for the coming months, because spices have a long shelf life. They really do. And the last tip I'll give you is so I would recommend that any of the spices that you're really not using in your cupboard, to kind of pull those forward and put your other ones behind it. That way you can kind of use up those ones that you're really not tending to. And that's actually what I'm going to do. I do have a few that are in my cupboard that just really don't get used that much, such as a few little steak seasonings that I have used prior, and there's going to be certain seasonings that you're going to use only a few times a year for specific recipes, like say cream of tartar or aniseed or ginger. Like those type of ones are really for specific like dessert recipes, or if you're doing certain Asian cooking, you're going to use some ginger. So I just wanted to give you guys an overlook of everything that we had here and everything that we use and buy and use up again. But yes, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again on the next one. Bye-bye, friend.